Let's go.
Let's go. What
Let's
up?
go. Hold on.
What's up, man?
Get right. Let me get my get right. Let me see. Okay.
I can see you. You looking good, man.
All
Wi-Fi's
right.
cracking.
Cool. You know what I mean? It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Let's go. What's popping?
Yo, what's good, man? It's good to see you, man.
Chilling, my brother. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all your support and building up to this dope conversation we're about to have.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely, man. Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow's a
Yes.
big day for two
Yes.
reasons.
A lot
It's
of reasons. Speak on it.
it's your born day.
That's right.
I'm gonna wish you happy birthday now.
Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so
And
much.
also the release of the 5th studio album, bro. So congratulations on that, man.
Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you very much. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. So let's begin, man. This is the Low Theory on the Low Theory. We keep it sweet and concise, but the main goal is basically just to kind of dive in on the past, what you're doing now, and the future. You know, we don't want to keep you too long because we know you're a busy man. You got a lot of things happening tomorrow. For those who are not familiar with you, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about yourself, and then we'll begin.
Yeah. Oh man. UnLearn the World, MC, producer, overall hip hop creative, as I like to say. Born and raised in New York City, Washington Heights. You already know. You know, grew up in the culture of hip hop. And moved to the Bay Area first time in 2003. Like the music industry had chewed me up and spit me out, so I needed a change of scenery. You know what I mean? And then from there, just kind of going back and forth for a little bit. And then I finally made this like my permanent home back in 2012. And I've just been on the run since then. Just, you know, coming up in the local Bay Area hip hop scene under Return to the Cypher. Shout out to ROTC. That was a weekly cypher we had at this spot called the Boom Boom Room every Sunday night, live band, DJ. Like the most hip hop thing you could find in the Bay Area was that spot. So I started originally just kind of getting my feet wet in the scene as a participant. I was coming to the cypher, getting on the mic, spitting some bars. Everybody has 1 minute to spit, so I was just doing that. And just by virtue of that, just, you know, people were starting really to respond to my performance, my energy, all of that. And then I just kind of finessed my way into becoming a fixture, right? So from just being a participant, I went on to be a host. From being a host, I went on to be a director. From being a director, it kind of created the catalyst for me to be a event producer, and to be a fixture in Bay Area underground stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here we are.
Word. No, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Tell me the meaning behind your name. What does UnLearn the World mean?
It's so for me, a lot of it is really, it's really an invitation. It's really like so I tell people, and I'm a hip hop educator, so I tell my students more recently than not, every rapper, every artist has a story. But aside from the story, you also have a message. You have an underlying narrative, right? Like we can know what you've gone through and what that means to you, but what does that mean for the rest of the world? What's the message from your experience that you're trying to put into the rest of the world? So for me, unlearn the world is to break down constructs, to recognize that even my perception of self has been a narrative that I've been conditioned to accept. You know what I'm saying? What people have told me about me, whether it's me specifically as Marlon or as UnLearn, or as me being Afro-Latino or being black or being poor or being whatever the case is, we are a product of the things that we have grown to accept, and the things that we have grown to accept come from societal conditioning. So as you get older and you start to kind of assert yourself and become more aware of who you are and grounded in who you are, it's essential for every human being in terms of their course of growth to really unpack and deal with these constructs, to challenge these constructs, to press, to, you know what I'm saying, to press back or to push back a little and say, like, look, I don't want to be what I've agreed to be or what I've been conditioned to accept that I am. I want to do something that's more in tune with my spirit, more in tune with my instincts as a human being. So that's what Unlearn the World comes from. I get the name. I used to always be called you know what I'm saying? Ask my cousin Addison. I see him in here. You know what I'm saying? He knew me as Everybody in the hood knew me as and it was short for Unorthodox. That was my battle rap name. I would go borough to borough, battle rapping people. Before there was Snack or before there was URL, I was in the streets, literally going to projects in Brooklyn, like, yo, who want it? You know what I mean? So I was known
Word.
as or unorthodox, and then as I started grooming myself or having people around me grooming me to be an artist, I wanted something that was a little bit more meaningful, something that I could make as a conversation point. So it went from to unlearn, right? And a lot of that came from the movie Higher Learning, right? Rest in peace to
Okay.
John Singleton. At the end of the movie, in big bright red letters, it says unlearn. Now I saw this when I was 13, one of my favorite movies, and I was like, that's dope. I think, that's a dope word. I had never been introduced to that. But then when I was going through this rebrand as an adult, here I am watching the movie again, and I said, that's the name. That's what rather than just I want to be unlearned, because that speaks to me on so many levels.
Yeah.
The hip hop song that made me want to start writing raps to begin with was The World Is Yours by Nas. Right?
Amazing.
Writing in my book of rhymes, all the words past the
Margin.
So just being a student, being a kid at the time, I knew what that meant. Like that metaphor meant to like break boundaries.
Yes,
right? So
hell yeah.
Considering how important that song was and then the effect that it had, literally the next day after I heard that song, I went and bought a book of rhymes. And I started writing my rhymes instead of just freestyling them. So that
on the composition notebook.
Yeah, exactly. Just the mead composition, little marble. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, to this day, I have them with me. I have over 15 rhyme books from the time I was 13 years old to the time I was 30.
Oh wow!
You understand
still
what
got
I'm
them in
saying?
the
So
archives.
this is a compilation, very different from a diary. This is literally my expression of who I am in my trials and tribulations, girlfriends I broke up with, places I've moved to, things I've done. Like it's all in these books. But it wouldn't be that way had it not been for the song "The World Is Yours." So I used the last word of my favorite movie and the first words of my favorite rap song and put them together to create a mantra, right? To create a message for myself. Just
Word.
saying, like,
Word.
and this is an invitation. Like, this is, so I'm telling you my story, but through my story, you're understanding one way or another what I'm doing in my life to unlearn, to break down my conditioning. You're first learning about the conditioning I have, right? As much as I'm socially conscious and an educator, I still like nice cars. I still like cool things. I'm still materialistic and very, in a lot of respects, I'm still ratchet in a lot of respects. You know what I'm saying? But I still have a consciousness about me that knows that there's a higher level of thinking, that knows that there's something larger than what we've been given. You know what I mean? In our society.
Definitely.
So
definitely, bro. Definitely. That's crazy. I love that explanation behind your name, man. Super dope.
Sure.
Nas is definitely one of my favorite artists.
The GOAT, you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Let's talk about the fifth studio album dropping, CROWNS.
Yes, CROWNS.
Because that's important. It's dropping tomorrow. Everybody who's listening is dropping tomorrow. CROWNS.
Yes,
now, what does that
pre-save? The link is in the bio. Go hit that pre-save. I need those.
Do that. Now, what does the acronym mean?
Yeah, so it's crazy. I was sleeping, and I woke up saying like, "Yo, hip hop literally allows us to create reality, right?" Like, I think like there's a lot of conversations about creating your own reality, the powers of manifestation, the secret, a lot of different things, right? But what I have found, not only studying this art form and this culture, but what I have found for myself as it relates to the power of manifestation is that through our words and through the things that we agree with, we are literally, and this is not figurative, we are literally creating the reality that we exist in for ourselves, right? So when I think about my life and I think about what I've been through and my experiences, I recognize that my resilience in rising above my circumstances has allowed me to remix myself and to literally create a reality for myself. So it's CROWNS, CROWNS, created reality out of wins and sins. So my successes and the devious things that I may have done, right, respectively speaking, but it could be created reality out of words and sentences. Created a reality out of wizardry and sorcery, right? Created reality out of wishes and science. It could be a lot of different things. So there's multiple. If there's people here who peeped the album cover in very small letters, you can see it around the frame with my face in it. It says all the different acronyms for CROWNS.
Oh, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying? So like that, and then you think about just crown consciousness, right? Like the idea of the chakras,
right?
And the crown chakra is where you get your enlightenment from, right? So I'm stepping into a new wave of enlightenment for myself. I'm coming to different realizations of myself, just through the self-work that I've been doing, you know what I'm saying? Through the healing process and just through learning and growing. So I just thought it was an appropriate name for this kind of album rather than just something corny like I'm the king.
Yeah,
I
no,
saw
for sure.
T.I. the other day. T.I. was breaking down amongst a group of artists like, yo, be careful about saying you're the king, because there's stuff that comes with that. There's responsibility that comes with being the king that you may not be prepared for. So rather than me just saying I'm the king, I want to just present a sense of regalness, but that regalness comes from consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the
Absolutely.
regalness that I have comes from the awareness that I've developed for myself.
Absolutely. Now, as a former MC, I'm real curious about your writing process.
Yeah.
Did you for this album particularly? Did you already have rhymes written without the beat, or did you get the beats first and then write to the beat?
So this is the first album that I actually worked on like an album.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I went in thinking like, yo, I am making an album with this song, right? So you know what I'm saying? Whereas like with my last album, Light Years, that was songs that I recorded in the pandemic, right?
Okay.
In my house, in quarantine, not with much to do, just recording songs. And I started picking out songs in my catalog that had a cohesion, right? Like, okay, these songs kind of feel like they're the same vibe. So I'm gonna put them together. I'm gonna curate a playlist of my own music and put it out for the world to hear. That was Light Years. That was the album I dropped in 2020. Really dope album. Y'all should check it out before this one comes out. You know what I'm saying? It was featured in The Source. It was named one of the top 50 albums of the year by Fantastic Hip Hop Blog. Shout out to them.
Dope.
It was a great piece of work. I made all the beats. It was a completely self-produced album. Where this album, I wanted to go in there, and now that I'm grounded in both being an MC as well as a producer, I was like, I got my system now. I've developed a sound for myself, which is very hard for a lot of artists. I think most artists, especially independent artists, are trying to chase whatever the sound is now to catch the audience, right? So everybody's trying to chase the next hit. Everybody want to throw 808s and auto-tune in their shit, like, you know, and I'm not far from that. But what I tried to do with this album is say, let me create a formula for myself and my own brand of creativity. And because of my abilities as a producer and as a creator, I can now bring in other producers into this creative space and work on songs that still sound like I produced them, still sound like they're part of the same artist. You know what I'm saying?
Because
like,
you found your sound. Absolutely.
Exactly, right? You know, so you have J. Cole type beats, you have, you know, Gucci Mane type beats. UnLearn has a type of beat that you can hear and go, that's an UnLearn beat.
Right. That's dope. Now, on this new album, what can we expect? Are there any features? Are there, like you just said, are there any other producers besides yourself? What are we looking forward to when we go and stream this tomorrow?
Tomorrow, in your phone tomorrow. What you should expect is a variety, right? Showing my versatility as an artist, as a creative, right? I'm not pinned to one box. And I think that often has counted against me. But I think for people who've been with me for the course of my career, I think people really vibe with the fact that I go everywhere. You're going to get trap and Afro beat, but then you're going to get some grimy Griselda kind of sounding record. I'm going all over the place. But the cohesion is in the narrative. The cohesion is in the way that I developed each of these beats, right? And then the features, I don't really typically feature a lot of artists on any of my records. This is the first album where there's a feature in almost every other song, and that was on purpose. That wasn't to try to trick an algorithm or anything. I wanted other voices to come in and narrate or even interpret what I'm saying. So I was writing things, leaving space for hooks and bridges and whatever, and then giving them to collaborators like, yo, here's the song. What do you think of it? And they're writing hooks based on what they hear me say. So this is other people interpreting my life. No different than an album review, right? This is other people interpreting my life to be on the same record with me. So that's kind of what I did. So shout out my man Aristotle. I just saw him in the chat. Shout out Rizzo, my homegirl, amazing singer, songwriter, MC from San Francisco. She's on 2 records. I had one of my homies who I used to teach. Since I'm a hip hop educator, I used to teach a kid in high school. He has since grown up and literally is my neighbor. And he came in and added instrumentation on a couple of records. Who else? This dude, my guy Ross Attitude is an amazing dancehall singer from LA or the LA area. He's on the record. Sky Zoo. who I've been a fan of forever, and we've been contemporaries of. We're in the same generation, so it was
Right.
amazing to work with him on a record. So he's one of the first voices you hear. Aside from that, you know, it goes on and on. An amazing singer from LA, Bria Leone, she's on a record called The Journey of Elijah, which is a song I made out of inspiration from a dream my son told me about, right? Like I made the beat the same day, wrote the rhymes the same day. And then when I'm in the studio recording, the engineer said, yo, I got somebody who could sing on this, and then got them on it. Right. So I just opened myself up to this collaborative process and got a lot of singers. My man, Steph Reed, my brother, this is my guy. This is the first kid I met in high school. We very rarely work on songs together, which is so ironic. He was on 2 songs on my first album, The Wake Up Call. So it's good to reconnect with him in a creative space and have him work on this one. So he's on a record, you know. And I just try to be as diverse as possible, you know, and just try to bring in other creatives to add to the process. We had a lot of dope producers, right? DJ Payne One, who's worked with Pusha T and 50 Cent and a bunch of other artists. Nabian, my man Nabian, who I've known for years, who just had a record on the Kanye West album. He produced Heaven and Hell. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of big, you know, my man Sincere Noble, who not only has been a producer of mine from my very first mixtapes, but has gone on to produce for Benny the Butcher, a bunch of other artists. You know, my man Shafiq Beats from Chicago, another producer I've collaborated with all throughout my career, produced an interlude that's really, really dope. So I try to go to producers that can fit my sound, but also had stake in the game. Had, you know what I'm saying? Like these aren't just your local, you know, roundabout from the block producers. These are people who have big credits, multi-platinum records. You know what I'm saying? And
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah,
I feel like the energy is gonna be dope. Let me just read this quote for you real quick, and you tell me what you think about it.
Yeah.
What it means. The places I go mentally is somewhere between Farrakhan lectures and drug dealer documentaries.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So it's a line from a song I have called Moonlit. That was co-produced by my man DJ Soros, who's my legit DJ, who, you know what I'm saying? He did the scratches on the record with me and Sky Zoo. Shout out to DJ Soros. But yeah, that's my consciousness. That's the frame of mind that I think is you know what I'm saying? Like I have always teetered the lines between street and what goes on in the street, considering where I'm from, considering who I grew up around, and and consciousness and just higher levels of thinking and thinking and having conversations about politics or religion or spirituality or social issues or whatever the case is, right? So a lot of my songs in the past have come across very preachy, right? Farrakhan is an inspirational speaker. He's an amazing orator. I've watched the Minister Farrakhan my entire adult life in terms of the message that he brings to Black people, particularly to Muslims in general. But that's also paired with watching Cocaine Cowboys on, you know what I'm saying? That's paired with, you know what I'm saying, watching rap videos my entire childhood. That's paired with growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, Washington Heights, where every other kid I knew was selling dope, or some of the homies was like, some of the OGs was selling dope, and you just kind of had a cursory understanding of that world because of the proximity that you had.
Listen,
you know
that's a dangerous combination to have, man. Understand the consciousness, but also understand the street life.
Right, like I could have been a lot of things in life, and I think that speaks to the topic of crowns, right? When we say,
absolutely.
When we introduce people, or we talk about ourselves, and we talk about the many roles we play, we say I wear a lot of hats, right? But like I consider myself a king in everything that I do. Anything that I'm passionate about, I'm naturally good at, right? And I think that applies for everybody. If you put passion into anything, you're gonna be good at it, right? So because I'm king in everything I do, I wear a lot of crowns. I don't wear hats, right? So that's another way of thinking about it. But because of that, like, because of these different roles that I play, these different streams of consciousness, I could have been anything in life. I could have been a preacher. I could have been a dope dealer. I chose to be an MC. That was a conscious choice as I started kind of exploring my creativity, right? I told myself, as I get older, I'm going to utilize this to become an activist, to become an educator, but to be a rapper. And fast forward years later, that's exactly what I am, right? I'm an activist, I'm an MC, and I'm a educator, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes, sir. Let me ask you a kind of a off-topic question real quick, just to see where your mind's at. You know, we're talking about documentaries, right? Movies and things like that. Tell me your top 5 rappers that turned actors.
Top 5 rappers that turned actors. Busta
Go
Rhymes.
for it.
Can we count Busta Rhymes?
Oh
He's in
yeah,
higher
for
learning.
sure. Oh yeah.
Ice Cube. Can't you? You know what I'm saying? You got to have Ice Cube. Rappers turned
Absolutely.
actors. Who else?
See, this ain't your typical top 5. I had to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you got
five,
Busta, you got Ice Cube.
I'm thinking about people who have extensive credits in the movie space, right? Because honorable mention is A$AP Rocky. Honorable mention also would be, damn.
I can throw some out, but I want you to come up with your own though.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said Method Man. Method Man, of course. Like I can see, but I'm talking about the top of the top. For me, Busta Rhymes, because Busta Rhymes' performance in Higher Learning was amazing, right?
I would say for me, top of the top, Will Smith, bro.
I forget that he was a rapper. You see what I'm saying? Like, he went
Yo, welcome to Miami.
Understand the 6 degrees of separation. You know what I mean? Tupac, right? We gotta say Tupac.
Latifah, come on, man. We're here. People know in the chats.
Queen Latifah for sure. She's another one that people forget she rapped.
Yo,
you know?
What about?
So when we talk about actors turn rappers, I'm thinking of the duality where like Busta Rhymes would be in a movie but still drop an album. Ice Cube would be in a movie but still drop an album. So I'm trying to think of people who are active in both spaces. There's not too many people like that. Tupac, I think, is the go-to. He's the GOAT for that, right? He was doing movies and dropping records at the same exact time. You know, LL Cool J, you know what I mean? He's more of an actor now than he's been a rapper. I think a lot of these artists have been rappers. Ice-T, right?
Yeah.
Ice-T
what about Mark Wahlberg?
Mark. I was watching.
Come on, he's a rapper, bro.
I was watching the TV show the other day, and they were playing "Feel the Vibration," that song that he had, Marky Mark.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I said, no, he used to rap like legit. He
really
was a rapper. Like it was funny.
It's crazy because people don't remember that. They think of him as an actor, but he started off as an MC. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, man. Crazy.
It's really crazy. Shout out to Mos Def, right? People are saying in the chat.
Right.
Mos Def, for sure. Right. He's done amazing. He's had amazing on-screen performances and still is one of the dopest MCs you can count for. You know, it's just kind of it speaks to the evolutionary power of hip-hop, of this culture, where you could start out one way and end up completely different, right? Like that's
100%.
It's that what I call the self-alchemy, or the alchemy of self, right? You start out one way. We start out, as many of us, especially in hip-hop spaces, start out in poor, impoverished communities, and we use rapping as a way to kind of make sense of our lives but if you take it serious enough and you start looking at it as a career or a career pathway, your life changed. I've been to places that I never thought I would ever be on earth because I rapped, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? My degree or lack thereof didn't bring me to Cuba, or didn't bring me to El Salvador, or any of the places I've traveled internationally. Me working insurance for 10 years didn't take me around on tour or have me meet Rakim or any of the famous artists that I've worked with or been on stage with. None of that did. Me writing and spitting bars and lunchtime ciphers and studios, and that's what got me where I'm at. That's what gave me the success that I feel like I've merited, is rapping. And for me to have transitioned from a kid in the hood to where I'm at now, to what I would like to think is a person with leadership qualities and abilities and a new way of looking at life, and a different economic status, a different geographical location. That's all based in hip hop. That's all based on, you know, what we love about this culture.
Right. You know, my fam, your cousin Addison, wanted to ask, how was it rhyming with Jay Electronica?
So What's funny is the first time I met Jay Electronica, I was with Addison. We we went to the
Okay.
Rock the Bells tour. We got there early. He was the first artist before people were even there. He was the first artist. First song I heard was "Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind." Right? He sampled the music score and rapped over it, double time rapping over, and I lost my shit. I couldn't think properly. Right? Like he was the first artist I ever saw live who gave me some sort of transcendent experience. Everything he was talking about were things that I thought about in my head or read books about or whatever the case is. Then after he kills the show, he comes out and has a cipher with all the rappers in the audience. So I run up there, me and Addison, we run up there and I'm rapping, I'm spitting my bars, and my homeboy on the other side, shout out to my man Guled, you know what I mean? He's spitting his bars and we're rapping with Jay Electronica. Fast forward years later, he drops Exhibit C and becomes a classic song in the annals of hip hop culture. Exhibit C exists as one of the best hip hop songs. So if he does nothing else in the culture, he gave us that, and we're eternally grateful for that.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
But the fact that he was on Control, right? The everybody loves Kendrick Lamar, and they forget that Jay Electronica's on that song too. He's on a whole bunch of songs. He's Erykah Badu's baby dad. He dated the Rockefeller like this. He did, you know, a Rothschild. Like his ability. So to rap with him then when he was just emerging, and to share a stage with him literally just last year, the year before, was amazing. It's one of those what I like to call full circle moments. You know
Absolutely,
what I'm saying? You see
man.
a glimpse of something in the future, that you come back to it in a different space or in a better space. So Definitely. That was cool. You know, and he's always, any interaction that I've had with the brother, he's always been the most down-to-earth human being I've ever met.
No, that's dope, man. That's dope. You got to rap with a legend for sure. Now, we're almost wrapped up on, I don't want to put you on the spot, but before we tell the people where they can find the new album, because that's super important, can you spit a verse for us? Can you spit a 16 for us?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little something, you maybe off the new album or something old, just something?
No, for sure.
Okay.
Let's see. I rock Wu-Tang yellow with the Nipsey blue. Wear a lot of crowns because I'm the king of everything I do. I've been up and stuck, and the system is who I stick it to. Hip-hop is falling to pieces. This is gorilla glue. Do or die, win or lose. Didn't have a silver spoon. Been around different goons inside of the city zoo. Spirits in my head and they bouncing around like titties do. Committed a sin or two for shit that I'm committed to. If I shoot, Ken Ryu Hadouken my fire blue. Spaceship bullets traveling the universe inside of you. See me yawning every time you talking. I'm so tired of you. A pyromaniac that ain't a track I won't set fire to. Buy myself a bigger Benz to carry out my mission. Then Alameda to Michigan. I'm nicer than I've ever been. This is not a Twitter trend. This is a story that never ends. I promise I'll die as the greatest and then I'll live again.
Ooh. Ooh, put those fire emojis up. Jeez.
You know,
let's
the vibes.
Go. Okay, that was fire, man. Listen, where can they go get the album that's dropping tomorrow? Crowns. Tell everybody where they can find you, where Crowns, they can follow you, October everything.
29th, tomorrow, in your phone, all streaming services, Spotify, iTunes, Tidal. Support your boy. Listen to it. Go to the link in my bio on my page. Go ahead and pre-save that so it automatically sends you the notification. It's important. The more people who pre-save it, it kind of fucks with the algorithms and it gets people to run it up. So we want to run up these numbers. We want to support local artists, whoever it are. It costs you nothing to share a link. If you like a song, you may not like all songs, but if you like one song, at least share that. You know what I'm saying? If you don't even buy the album and you just keep running it up and listening to it, that's appreciated. Thank you all so much. Crowns in your phone tomorrow. Stop playing with me.
Hey, make sure you guys go get the album, like he said. Make sure you go to his DM and wish him a happy birthday tomorrow as well. And thank you for joining me on the Low Theory. It's been a pleasure chopping it up with you, brother. I'm happy to see, you know, all the success you've been having, all the traction. I hope it keeps elevating, bro.
We're just gonna try to keep that momentum, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, bro. Peace.
Peace.